Hello Real Estate, George here, a PRC accredited and DHSUD registered salesperson. And this video is actually about the response of DHSUD kasi nag-email ako sa kanila last month to clarify about the refund from the developer if si client ay nag-decide na mag-default kasi based on Republic Act 6552, and that is in Section 3, letter B, if the contract is cancelled, the seller shall refund to the buyer the cash surrender value of the payments on the property equivalent to 50% of the total payments made, and after 5 years of installments, an additional 5% every year but not to exceed 90% of the total cash payments made, provided that the actual cancellation of the contract shall take place after 30 days from receipt by the buyer of the notice of cancellation or the demand for rescission of the contract by a notarial act and upon full payment of the cash surrender value to the buyer. Base sa Republic Act 6552, nakasaad dito na 50% of the cash surrender value ang ibibigay ng developer sa buyer in case na mag-default sila. And I have already created 2 videos about Republic Act 6552 at maraming nagtatanong sa akin bakit less than 50% yung binibigay sa kanila. Yung batas na ito nagsasabi na 50%. So aside from this law, dapat magtugma sa contract to sell na pinirmahan mo pag reserve mo ng property. So I have here a copy of a contract to sell of one of the developers, and it says here under Section 4 on the consequences of default and cancellation. 4.1, if the purchaser has not paid at least 2 years of installments, the seller shall refund, okay, so nakasaad sa 6552, to the purchaser all payments received. Heto, less penalties accrued as of the date of cancellation. B, an amount equivalent to 50% of the total amount paid as liquidated damages. So meron palang damages. Commissions and incentives paid to broker, if any. And D, any unpaid charges on the unit. And E, all taxes, fees, and charges paid for by the purchaser on account of the sale and which have been remitted by the seller to relevant national and local government agencies. So bakit may additional deduction at sa law on refund, 50% lang ang nakasaad? So, hindi naman ako lawyer. I seek clarification from DHSUD or the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development because they are the governing body that regulates the developers. At heto, last February 11, I really tried to email them, and here is my email. I have a question po on behalf of my client. My client plans to default her installment payment, and per RA 6552, she can get cash surrender value equivalent to 50% of her payments because she has paid more than 2 months or at least 2 years. But she was told by the developer that it will not be 50% yung refund because there will be deductions like broker commissions, admin fees, and taxes paid to the government. So, these deductions are also reflected in the contract. So, nakasaad ito sa contract to sell na pinirmahan mo. And I have read in RA 6552, but there was no mention of deduction from the 50%. But I can be wrong. So, my questions are the deductions from the 50% legal? And what is the process of filing a complaint to DHSUD? So, I sent this email February 11. Fortunately, they replied on February 22. So, after 11 days, ito yung reply nila. Good day, Mr. Sarmago. This is to acknowledge of your email received by the DHSUD Public Assistance Division or PAD. Please be informed that we will be forwarding your email to the specific office, service, or bureau appropriately concerned. They will directly communicate and coordinate with you. So they forwarded it to the legal service. At sabi nila, may we respectfully forward to your office below email pertinent to the mentioned subject therein received by the DHSUD Public Assistance Division. So, I tried to clarify because yung nakasaad sa RA 6552 is 50% lang. But yung nakasaad sa contract to sell na pinirmahan mo ay mayroon pang deductions sa 50%. So, ano ba talaga ang dapat mong matanggap? 50% or may deduction pa? Ito yung reply nila. Nag-reply sila February 23. So, a day after na forward sa kanila sa legal service from Public Assistance Division. At ito yung attachment na letter, and I will share this with you kasi maraming nagtatanong about dito at gusto ko rin makatulong sa mga buyers natin to set the expectations right, and also from the DHSUD agency to clarify about this matter. Okay, so handa na ba kayo? Ito yung response nila. Okay, so February 17 nila na-draft yung letter at care of to me kasi ako yung nag-send ng question or clarification sa kanila. And this is on the queries about the contract to sell. Dear Mr. Sarmago, this is in reference to your letter concerning the provisions of the contract to sell providing for non-refundable fees. At ito yung laman. Relative thereto, please be advised that the basis for the non-refundable fees is the contract to sell signed by the parties. The parties to a contract are free to establish such stipulations, clauses, terms, and conditions as they may deem convenient. At ito, this is based on the mayroong footnote on the RA 386 on the New Civil Code of the Philippines, Article 1306. At nakasaad sa article na ito, the contracting parties may establish such stipulations, clause, terms, and conditions as they may seem convenient, provided that they are not contrary to law, morals, and good customs, public order, or public policy. Now let's continue with the reply. Therefore, the parties may stipulate provisions for non-refundable fees such as broker commissions and taxes. Furthermore, such stipulation is binding, so it's legal, between the parties, their assigns, and heirs. So mayroon na namang footnote. This is based on RA 386, Article 1311. Contracts take effect only between parties, their assigns, and heirs, except in case where the rights and obligations arising from the contract are not transmissible by their nature, or by stipulation, or by provision of law. The heir is not liable beyond the value of the property he received from the decedent. Okay, so the power, so going back to the body of the email, the power to determine the validity of the provisions of the contract is lodged with the courts and not with the office. So if you have a question with the validity of the contract, so dapat ito sa court at hindi sa office of the DHSUD. Now, where can they file a complaint for buyers if this is the case? Now, in relation thereto, the office can offer assistance by endorsing the complainant's request for refund to the concerned developer. Kindly provide the names, addresses, and other relevant contact information of the complainant and the developer, along with the pertinent details of the complaint so that the office may properly forward the matter. So, going back, if may question ka about the validity of the contract, then sa court ka pumunta. Kasi sa office na ito, they can just endorse. So, meaning, nagsubmit ka ng letter, you provide the details, your personal details, at the details of the developer, at siguro you bring your reservation agreement, your contract to sell, and all the receipts payment, but it will just be through endorsement. So, forward lang or i-endorse lang ni DHSUD to the developer, but they don't have the authority over the legality of the contract that you have agreed on. So, yun. And we hope that we have addressed your inquiries. So, my disclaimer lang, the foregoing view is based on the facts as represented by the letter sender. If upon this office knowledge, it is shown later that the material facts have been misrepresented, then this opinion shall be considered null and void. Okay, so I have read the reply, and you know the concern, and I have raised it to DHSUD. According to DHSUD, the contract to sell that you sign is legally binding, and what is included there does not violate per Republic Act 386 on the New Civil Code of the Philippines. But if meron kang concern at gusto mo talagang i-push ito, then the court is the right platform for that matter. What can we do to avoid going into this complicated situation? So it is really about reading and completely understanding the contract to sell. Before you go there, I would want you to really understand what are the risks in terms of the consequences of default and cancellation. Now, I know that upon your reservation, you are really excited about the property and really thinking about, moving in and having that as your own property where you can use it either as investment or for personal use. Kaya nga lang, mayroon talaga mga situations that would limit you or that would prevent you from fulfilling that dream. Kaya nga, you need to understand kung ano yung pinasukan mo at kung ano ang consequence ng contract at yung investment. Next is, you also have to understand the unit details. Make sure that the unit details are accurate. Yung pinirmahan mo or yung unit na gusto mo na pinirmahan mo ay nakasaad sa contract to sell, including the price and the manner of payment. And then yung expenses, you also need to understand what are the taxes included, what are the registration costs and other expenses. And of course, yung timeline. Siguraduhin mo na may date kailan expected it to turn over ang unit mo. At of course, yung warranties and transfer of rights. So ano ba talaga ang gagawin mo? So I would recommend 3 things. If there are stipulations that you are not clear about before you sign, you clarify. You ask the developer what it means. And then the next one is, if there are agreements on the contract that you are not comfortable about, you ask if it can be modified so that both parties can comfortably sign the contract. At pangatlo, if there are agreements na hindi ka talaga nag-agree, then the choice is yours to sign it or not. In the end, investment, even in real estate, there are risks talaga, whether it's within your control or not within your control. And it's up to you if you are comfortable with the investment. But then again, if you ask me in terms of what are the risks and benefits, I would say that there are more benefits than risk when you invest. Just make sure that you are knowledgeable on what are the risks and consequences when you invest. And I hope I was able to clarify on the refund clause that protects the buyers in investing in real estate. And I hope that from now on, or if you have already invested in a property and you have not read the contract to sell, please take the time to read the contract to sell so you will be knowledgeable in terms of what are the possible risks and consequences of investing in real estate. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay at home, and peace.